This is a Bulldog Radio podcast.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the most valuable sports podcast. Brandon Worth here alongside my partner in crime, Joe Nagy. What's up, Joe?
Hey, everybody.
Great intro. And also joining us, ringside reporter for the CCHA, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Ryan Pilon is here with us. Ryan, welcome.
I'm very excited to be here.
I believe
you sound super excited.
Oh, yeah.
Sounding so ecstatic to be on this show. But we got a great show ahead. Ferris State Sports Report. The basketball team was in action. Got a little bit of a win on Saturday. Joe?
Yay, anchor down.
Anchor down.
I almost forgot.
Well, and we got more sports coming as well as NHL All-Star break and possibly NFL Pro Bowl. You can tune in right now. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us at the MVSP not to miss out on anything on the podcast. And also, shout out to our boys over at Knockout for their first 2 episodes now live on Spotify. We loved hearing all the Bulldog Radio Sports Networks getting together, so you can check them out on Spotify and on Instagram. Knockout FSU, I believe, is the tag. There might be an underscore in there. There might be a dash. But if you search it, you should be able to find them in the right place. So shout out to Travis and those guys are putting out great content. But into the Ferris State Sports Report we go. We'll start on the men's side in hoops. And we got a lot of games to cover. There were 3. Our Dogs went 2-1. We'll start on Thursday, the original first game of this long weekend, getting the win over Davenport. Final was 91 to 74 against the Panthers. And I mean, just watching this game, it definitely could tell we started off really slow, and we did not shoot the basketball well at all in this game. I believe we were 17% from 3 in this game. And I know Coach Bronkema said really a lot over this stretch, over these last 3 games that we'll cover here, that like right now they're showing a different team than we saw earlier in the year, because not necessarily hitting those shots, but being able to beat the teams on the boards, being able to beat them on the break, and being able to take care of the basketball a lot better than we saw earlier on.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that was kind of we were able to pick up the shooting against the Grand Valley game, but we'll get into that in a second. But that's a good thing too, is to understand that like when our shots aren't falling, most of the time we'll be able to pick up the slack a little bit and be able to pick up those boards, get those 2-pointers and stuff like that. And our mid-ranges have kind of been able to be improving a little bit, especially our driving ability as well. But, you know, we had a lot of great production from our guys. I mean, Jimmy Scholler had 6, which usually he doesn't have because he's more of an assist guy. I mean, Walt Kelzer, Logan Ryan, Dorian Louis, and Lee Higgins all got almost 15 points. I think Lee was the only one who didn't get that at 14. And then, you know, Ben Davidson coming off the bench with 13. So when you got 5 guys that are producing double digits as well as 3 others that are getting themselves on the scoreboard, it's really solid for these guys, especially getting into the latter half of the season. We definitely want to see that for this GLIAC tournament that's going to be coming up and finishing strong, so that way we can get the host again and hopefully, you know, have a little bit different of a story than when we lost Northern that first game, but we're not going to talk about that.
Don't talk about that.
That's water on the bridge at this point. But, you know, it's good to see that when we're able to get a lot of guys producing, and we've been able to see that all season so far.
Well, I'm not a guy for basketball, as you guys know.
You're a big hockey guy,
Oh, yeah.
guy.
But, I mean, for each sport, the stats don't lie. So all these guys putting up the big numbers, I mean, that's really good to see. And, you know, I was looking through all the games that we won. You know, there's 20 million times more wins than there are losses. So that's good going forward, going into the playoffs.
It tells for itself already.
You know, it just shows that we're going to be a really good team, you know, for the playoffs, of course.
Yeah. I mean, we're 18-4 right now. So, like, we're not, like, we suffered a setback this weekend, but, like, when you're 13-1 in the league and you're 18-4 and your coach is going to get his, you know, 7th, 8th, 9th, 20-win season of his collegiate career already when he's such a young coach, like, that just proves that we're going to be very good for a very long time. And, I mean, sky's the limit, honestly. We have probably, for my opinion, I'd say we have at least, you know, 7 more wins when you talk about like the GLIAC tournament coming up, and that's not even including, you know, the national tournament that we're most likely going to be able to get in, especially with this record. But, you know, we got 6 more games coming up for these next 2 weekends, and then a couple others with the GLIAC tournament and, you know, the national tournament as well. So sky's the limit, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, looking especially at what we saw from the Saturday game against GV, where we ended up getting the 3-point victory at home. Boy, what a game that was. I definitely saw a difference in play from that Davenport game to the Grand Valley game. Obviously, the intensity was it was just astronomically higher in that game. I mean, the atmosphere was awesome. All the fans that came out, you guys rocked it. And we want to see that on next Monday, too. Because, I mean, that'll be a great game against Northwood. It'll be the next time we're in Wink. And it'll be for good causes, too, to support women's heart health. But, I mean, Davenport, it seemed like we were a little sluggish. And I'm not necessarily saying, like, we were, like, pushing over the game that much. But, I mean, when it comes to the rivalry games, I mean, we'll get to the Davenport game that I'm sure many people are anticipating us to talk about next. But, like, when you have those big rivalries, and I know, like, we've played sports in high school, and there's always these school rivalries, like, you tend to look at that game ahead of, even though somebody else might be in front of you or behind that game. So that can be a small tendency. And there could have been something in that game. I mean, you have Grand Valley on the schedule. Obviously, that one's circled, dotted. That one's highlighted. You were looking at that game, right? You're like, February 5th, it's going down. Let's go. I mean, Davenport might be playing 2 days before and 2 days after, but GV is the one that we want to win. So, I mean, you can kind of expect a little bit of a slower play in that game just because it doesn't live up to the hype necessarily as Grand Valley. But, I mean, the guys stepped up really well at Grand Valley. That was a big win for us, just especially at home in front of the home fans. And, I mean, it was in a very, very good environment. It seemed like there was a lot of times where GV did a great job of really being able to answer the punches. I mean, especially in the second half early on, they made a big run on us. I want to say it was around 7-8 run, or maybe it was like a 10-2 run. It was somewhere around an 8-point advantage early on in the half, but our guys started hitting shots, and we were really feeding off the energy of each other, and it came on the offensive rebounds and on the glass. When we started really putting our guys in there and being able to get the boards, that really changed the game in the second half, and that's what helped us get out on top in the end.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, when you look at it, they had a really great performance from their starting five, and then their bench just really did not produce a lot. I mean, they had 9 points off the bench, and they had about 70 or so or 60 or so off their starters alone. So I mean, when you look at that, and when you look at our side, we had some guys come off the bench. I mean, Ben Davidson, as always, Reese Hazelton contributed a little bit. Vejas kind of stepped up, especially guarding his brother.
Oh, that was
a great
awesome
experience for a lot of people.
Anthem as well?
National anthem was pretty sick.
That was amazing.
That was a really cool moment. And I mean, we didn't have the greatest performance from Walt. I mean, he scored 9. I think that's the first time I ever seen him score less than 10. And then, Jimmy kind of stepped up with 8, but, Logan, Dorian, and Lee, they really kind of stepped up, especially when they needed to, when they got some great points and stuff. Our 3-point shooting kind of fell flat a little bit again. I mean, 26%, not the greatest, but, we once again showed that when the shots aren't falling, we're able to step it up in the paint, able to get the rebounds, able to get those second chance scores, and as well as, making down the jumpers and the layups when we need to. And I think when, Vejas got that stop against his brother, Logan got that alley-oop from Walt. That was an incredible momentum shift for us, and I think when those things happen, you get the crowd going and all that's culminating together. I didn't think we were going to win this game one bit when when the place was rocking. So,
yeah, that was my first Ferris basketball game.
Yeah.
What a treat!
What a treat!
That is the one you want to start off with. Like, I didn't really know what to expect going into it, and then starting off through the first half, I mean. It was a good game, but it was a little quiet. And then getting towards the middle of the game, they just there was a moment there, and it was just ecstatic. I could feel the vibrations going through me. I mean, I don't really watch a lot of basketball, but that was a really hype moment. When one of our defenders one of their guys was trying to shoot on the hoop, and he just stood him up, just sitting there.
Oh, yeah. Logan Ryan.
Kept
Logan
on
Ryan,
going.
that's the guy.
Yeah, he had some key blocks in this game, and I mean, Vejas on its brother was just enough fun as it was. I'm sure people saw the video that 9 and 10 posted of him standing on his brother on the baseline, and he was fired up, and then I think it was like 2 possessions later, Grand Valley hits a 3, and then they come down. Their coach is hyping him up, clapping from his knee down on the floor, and the guys are ready, and they slap the floor, and Ben pulls up, drains it in his 3, and the whole place goes nuts. I tried to film just a still video just so I could hear the audio again to see if it could compare. No camera could pick up the audio levels of that arena at that moment. It was just deafening, and it was awesome to see. But I mean, going to your point, Joe, I mean, we haven't shot very well in the last couple of games. And I mean, Walt, has definitely been a guy that I think a lot of people hold a lot of expectations to as far as scoring. I mean, especially back to where we're talking the Duluth game when he had I think he had 37 in that game. I mean, he scored 40 before. So he has that ability to score. And when he doesn't, people are kind of like, oh, what's going on? But he's filled into a role really well to be able to distribute as well and give other teammates a chance, especially the low post feeds he's been doing really well with. And a lot of guys are stepping up, not necessarily outside of the 3-point line, but even like inside. I mean, Dorian Louis is a mid-range specialist. That's been a big part of his game. Lee's been able to get to the basket. I mean, we've been able to play some big plays on lobs to Logan Ryan. I wish more of them were filmed so we could see them more back. And then obviously you got guys off the bench that can provide a spark as well. So, I mean, this team definitely has all the tools, and they're finding new ways to win. I think that's the biggest thing with this team so far, especially after the Grand Valley game, is despite we're not shooting high caliber that we were in the beginning of the year, 45, 50, 60 even % from three, that we're still able to finding ways to win, and that's not off of shooting, being able to get the boards, being able to play good defense, get quality possessions, and being able to move the basketball. This team is exponentially better when we're in the right position, moving the basketball, and being able to rely on teammate ability to find each other and give each other chances, and that's been a big thing. But going into the inevitable last night, and this is recorded here on the 8th on Tuesday, Davenport, they got us at Caledonia. They got us 75-73 the final. I was able to tune in for the last couple minutes of this one over the air. And there sounded like there was a lot of crazy stuff going on. I remember that I was hearing some things from Rob and Sandy, which dude had a great job on the call for that game. That there was like some rogue fans going on the floor or something. Like
What?
The fans were too close to the sideline at one point. I don't know exactly what the whole premise was. I reached out to our buddy Isaac that has joined us on the show, who is one of the managers for the men's basketball program. And he was telling like, yeah, there was just no security. Like there was times where they'd have to pull him off the floor and stuff. And I'm like, what? This is so weird. But I mean, at the end of the day, you can understand the excitement because I mean, we got the targets on our back. We're at the top of the top, right? Mm-hmm. And if somebody wanted to get that first GLIAC loss to us, and I mean, Davenport unfortunately got it. But I mean, it's hard to play a team twice in 4 days. And I mean, me and Joe have that experience with IM, so we had to play a team that we played last week, yesterday on Monday night. So it's a tough. Hey,
we got the W
thing.
though. We got a quick little 20-point dub. So
we got the dub, but I mean, it is hard to play a team only twice in a couple of days because I mean teams can it's a hit or miss based off days because I mean we've seen it, right? Being able to put up 121 game and then next game it's only 70 or 80. You're just not hitting the same shots. It can be a whole different ball game, and that's certainly what it was last night.
For sure. And I mean, when you look at when we were there at the Davenport game the other day, not the one that was at Davenport, but the home one, like there was times where Davenport was going on a little bit of a run. Like they were picking up some really good momentum. I mean, they were getting some dunks when they needed it. Some threes were going in. I mean, they were matching it shot for shot with a lot of our guys, and you could definitely tell that there was a tipping point in the game that could have really changed the outcome a little bit. But we were able to battle back, and I think just the difference is seeing or going to a place where you got to play a team within the span of 3 days is always super tough. And I mean, when you look at it, it's not going to be the easiest matchup, especially Davenport. I mean, they beat Grand Valley. They beat a lot of these teams in the GLIAC that are, top of the table, and they're not a terrible team. Yeah, they might be 6-7, just below 500, but they're still a solid team that can really disrupt the table a little bit. So I think it's a really good wake-up call for us because with our shooting not being super great, I think we're going to be able to get back in the gym and really start working on that a lot more and kind of figuring out what our game is going to be a lot more than just, if shooting's not going to be going or relying on shooting and then just kind of picking up the scraps a little bit, kind of refining what we need to do to get the win, especially with Lake State coming up. We beat them by 15 last game, but, that's another one of those games where it was pretty close and it could go either way. So some pretty good games coming up, especially with Northwood and stuff like that. Like we mentioned, Red Out, come show your support for Women's Heart Health. That's going to be a great time for us. But, it's going to be a tough situation, especially for this bounce back game.
Yeah, that Davenport game is definitely going to be one that Ferris is going to have to learn off of because going forward, you said there's like 6 games left in the season. So I mean, if they could win all 6. I mean, it's not impossible for Ferris to do that. So they're going to have to learn off their loss. I mean, go in the gym, pick up those numbers. I mean, you got to get those last 6 wins. That'd be great.
Got to get the shots up, especially for some of the guys that have been kind of slowing down a little bit on their 3-point efficiency.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't been able to fill it as much as we did earlier in the season, but I mean, we're still getting better rebounding. We're still getting better defensively. We had chances down the stretch. Like, listening into this game, like, we had those chances, and they just didn't fall. Like, we had some open looks. I think Lee actually banked one from the corner. I'm not sure how necessarily that he dialed that up, but hey, he's a marksman, so anything will fall. But, I mean, we had those chances. I mean, Davenport just did a great job of being able to take advantage off the misses, and they were able to make some big plays down the stretch. And I mean, I think that's the MO of this game. I mean, you would love to go undefeated, and I mean, it'd be wonderful. But I mean, sometimes a kick in the mouth makes you better, right? Yeah, just a little bit of a punch, just to reset. Say, whoa, we're in the GLIAC, guys. Everybody's good. You can be 6-16 and still be able to beat a team in the GLIAC postseason. It's still possible. So I think that we can learn off of that and definitely do that moving forward. But moving over to the women's side, they were in, I'm sorry, Joe, GLIAC scoreboard.
I was going to say, this is my favorite thing I get to do. I guess like my trademark thing, you're just going to steamroll right over it. But let's get into some scores around the GLIAC. We got a big one, so buckle in, buckle up. It's going to be a good ride. So Wayne State, they can't handle the Cards from Saginaw Valley, 67-65. Saginaw Valley stays alive at one of the top teams in the GLIAC. Wayne State not super great, so not super surprising, but still pretty close game.
Only 2 points, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Put up a fight.
Both Laker teams showed off up in the Sioux, Lake Superior State and Grand Valley. Lake Superior State is the better two of the Lakers, 75-72.
Wow.
Grand Valley is kind of falling apart. Sucks for them. Hate to see it. Not really. Michigan Tech rolled over the pride of Purdue Northwest, 65-44, in a pretty low-scoring effort, pretty uncharacteristic of the Michigan Tech Huskies. Northern Michigan then fell to Parkside, 75-68. Parkside picking up a little bit there near the bottom of the table, but watch out for them in the GLIAC tournament coming up pretty short. And then following Saturday, Northern Michigan was able to get a bounce-back win, 87-69 over the Purdue Northwest Pride. We obviously, big game against Grand Valley State, 83-80 we won. Davenport then got the loss to Lake Superior State, 97-86. Michigan Tech picked up the scoring again, 90-75 against Parkside, so they were able to kind of get back to what they were able to do before. And then Saginaw Valley stayed perfect throughout the weekend, 78-54 against Northwood, but that doesn't mean it bodes well for us because Northwood was able to pick up the W on Monday, yesterday, 80-77, so they're going to hope to keep it rolling when they see us later on in the week. And then, obviously, we lost to Davenport, ending our unbeaten streak in the GLIAC, 75-73. There
you go. Those are the GLIAC scores. Now moving over on into the women's. They had 2 games this weekend, not 3. We were able to play at Davenport earlier in the season. Got them at home, 72-55 on Thursday. Good win for us. Started off fast. That's what makes this team better. When we can start out fast in the first quarter, we just look like such a better team. When we feed off that energy, we were able to put up 22 in the first quarter, which is a high number compared to what we've had, 15, 13 on average, it seems like, over the last 10 games. Being able to start out fast, continue to build that lead, definitely helped in this game. Defensively, we were great. We were able to hit a lot of shots. We definitely did well at the free throw line. That has been a question mark, especially in the Grand Valley game, which we'll get to in a minute here. But being able to knock down 15 of 21 free throws was huge. Being able to out-rebound the Panthers was huge. It was a great performance overall from really all the players, not necessarily naming one individually, but all of them did very well in their minutes, very effective. Definitely seeing some great things, being able to have that two-dimensional offense that we didn't see last year. We talk about it so much on the show, but just having that ability to go inside and out has made this team so much more lethal, and that really was put into light against Davenport because their physical presence down low just really wasn't matched for Chloe and Myra. They did great.
Yeah, for sure. And the one thing to look at that too, especially in the Davenport game, is like, we were really spread out, and I think that's the one thing that we've been able to notice so far throughout this whole year is that Coach Westendorp is not afraid to toss the bench in early and toss the bench in when it really matters, which is really great because we're able to see a lot of these players who can get that experience and get the get the chance to really be the hero of the game and stuff. But when you look at it, I mean, 4 players within double digits. I mean, Mallory Carney has really been picking up the assists. I think she's really improved.
She almost had a triple-double.
Yeah, she was really pretty darn close to it. 9 rebounds, 8 assists, and 6 points. So, a couple more in each stat line, she would have had the triple-double. But she's really improved on her court vision. I've seen her make some passes that are pretty impressive. Some, behind the back, some, no-look passes, which I always love to see as someone who's more of a pass-first guy. But, it's really cool to see, especially. I mean, Grand Valley was a little bit different of a story. We didn't play super great. But, it's really great to see that we're able to go against Davenport, do work, do what we're supposed to do, especially against a not super great team.
Yeah, like you said, Brandon, I mean, starting off strong is always the key, basically, in every sport. I mean, when you have the lead, in the first half, your chances of winning are 3 times as much. I mean, because the other team's on their heels, you have the momentum, and if you're at home, the crowd's getting into it. It's just great to see that we can, start off strong, because when you start off strong, you're 90% likely more to win than the other team, because it's hard to come back. Yeah,
coming back is kind of an custom that teams kind of adapt to early on, and that's kind of like their MO. Like, I mean, we've seen Ferris State, the men's squad, as a second half dominant team, and there's been some times where it's flipped. I mean, especially against Davenport, I think we definitely played better in the second half, but I mean, there was still not that same uptick in production in that second half. But I mean, it was still great to see. But it was a tough one on Saturday. We played this team great. Now, granted, Grand Valley is one of the best teams in the country, top 10. I think they're probably going to move up to 7 or 6. I think now, maybe coming on this week's rankings. But they got a lot of great quality players. They can play inside and out. They're able to shoot really efficiently. And it just seemed like they had a dagger. Every time we started to make a run, they had a dagger to stop it. And they definitely took advantage of that. We started off a little slower, but, we were coming back. We outscored them in the second. And, we made a big run in the fourth quarter. It was just not enough, a little too late. They did a great job of adjusting to the away floor. And they were able to make some shots, and they really took advantage for some big opportunities, especially in the post, and especially off their bench. They were able to get some big margins to be able to pull them to victory.
For sure. And when you look at it, the thing that I am pretty surprised. Not surprised, but I don't know the word. Not pleasant, but like.
Pleasantly surprised?
I don't know what it is, but when you look at it, our rebounding has definitely gotten better from last year. Especially when you look at when we played them last year, they really out rebounded us a lot. I think it was out by 10 or 15 rebounds that they did. But now we're only in 3. We got some size down low, and we're able to get some really good players that have been able to be a force down in the paint. Chloe Adoni has really stepped up a lot. You got Amaku Nabago, who's not the biggest, but she's able to use that size that she has and the length that she has to be able to get those rebounds, which is really great to see. But when you look at it, it's tough when you have one of the best teams in the country come to your place. And Grand Valley is a team that has really proved to probably. They could quite honestly be the best team in the country. I think they could really hang with them. So I think it's just with the GLIAC on the women's side has not been as dominant as it has been in the past couple of years, especially with Ashland not being in it anymore. I think I wouldn't say lose as much recognition, but when you it's not going to get you to number 1 in the country, I don't think, unless you're just putting up an insane amount of numbers. But when you look at it, it sucks that they came in our place and were able to win, but we stayed close and we kept it pretty darn well. The first quarter was the only thing really that I could see that we kind of fell behind, and I think that was kind of our downfall. But when you look at quarter 2, 3, and 4, we were 5 points at the most out of it, and we were able to beat them in scoring in the fourth quarter. It just came down to kind of that first quarter. Coming out hot is going to be the big thing. We just kind of stayed a little bit slow, so just working on that is going to be a big thing.
Yeah, especially that third quarter, we started off hot. We got within 2. And, by the end of the third quarter, they started distancing it away. They went on a big run that ended up getting them, I believe, to the quarter up by 10. And that we just really, that little stretch really killed us. But, they still played really well. I was really pleased with all the things that I saw. They had a lot of good looks, and some of them, frankly, just didn't fall. We just missed some puppies, and that was really hard to take, because, of course, you'd love to have those drop in, and you wouldn't like to go back and think, what if I made that layup in this moment? The game would have been different. But still put on a great performance, and we got some winnable games coming up, because right now, looking at the GLIAC scoreboard, Joe, there's a lot of shakeups going down on the women's side.
For sure, and we'll hop right into it. This we're going to start up on Thursday. Obviously, we got the win that we were talking about against Davenport, but Grand Valley on the women's side was able to top the Lakers of Lake Superior State 78-21 in a big 57-point margin. That was quite the sight to see. I think at the end of the first half, it was like 50-1 or something, or like 40-1 or something like that they posted.
Starting off strong.
Yeah, exactly. Starting off strong, like Superior State. Look at them go. But yeah, 78-21. Lakers of Grand Valley top the Lakers of Lake Superior State. So Saginaw Valley ended up falling to Wayne State in a overtime thriller, 70-62. That would have been a good one to see. Purdue Northwest top Michigan Tech Huskies 93-89. Also an overtime thriller. So that was pretty.
Wow.
If you're able to catch the highlights of that, much highly recommend. Parkside then also hosted Northern Michigan, got the W 73-52. Pretty big one there. And then on to Saturday, another overtime win for Lake Superior State. That one was close, 65-64. Good to see them get a win. Those were the two bottom teams of the GLIAC in Davenport and Lake Superior State who took on each other. So that was going to be a good game. Very much of a hard-fought game for those two. Purdue Northwest able to get a win. Northern Michigan not able to get a win at all this week. Sorry for messing up that 53-52. That was a pretty close game as well. And then Parkside beating Michigan Tech. They're also going to lose the weekend 81-67. And then Northwood picking up a win against the Cardinals 74-67. And then the lone game of Monday, Wayne State and Northwood. Wayne State wins it 81-65.
Wow. Okay, there you go. So right now that puts us, the men's team, at the top of the GLIAC standings right now in first place. And now with the split, we have the women's side has now moved into third thanks to that Saginaw Valley loss. So we appreciate was it Wayne State that beat them?
Yeah.
Thanks, Wayne State.
Way to go, Wayne State.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
But you're next. We're only a half game behind them. You're next. So, definitely great to get a win down at their place. So that is the basketball score report. Looking into this weekend here, we have Ryan with us. Of course, we can talk about the trip to Lake Superior State. What are we looking for out of this team this weekend, Ryan? This is a big one. This could be a huge momentum booster here near the end of the season.
Well, it's going to come down to the third period. I think you guys have probably heard that a million times.
It's a common theme.
It's a common
all the
theme.
time.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
I knew when I said that you guys would know. But, even the coaches know in the post-game interviews, and when I talk to the coach in the second half intermission or the second period intermission, he's always like, we have to get this third period because Ferris right now is notoriously we aren't good in the third period for some reason. We'll come in with the momentum, but then we'll choke. Against St. Thomas. They score with 5 seconds left.
That one hurt.
That was a rough one to tweet about, not gonna lie.
And there's something about the third period with Ferris. We have to get over that. It's like the curse of the third period. We have to get over it. That's the goal. Because if we do whatever in the first two periods of these games coming up this weekend, it won't really matter unless we take the third period because Ferris summed them up.
Notoriously bad in the final 20.
Yeah, these next 6 games, they're winnable games, but because, we've played these teams tough. Michigan Tech, we didn't have our best weekend back earlier in November, so that one definitely seems a little bit more daunting, but, we're going to be at home, and we've beat Minnesota State at home before, so, you can always take that momentum and ride it into Egon Gleben, but the big fact of it is, Ryan, you hit it on the nose. It's like we know this team can play with any team in the country for 2. It just seems like 2 periods. I don't know what it is with the third period. I don't know if we need to make another puck tower going into the third period. I don't know if we need to switch a line and go with line 4 first instead of line 1 in the third period. I don't know what it needs to do. Whether they can make a campfire with their sticks, all that matter. Just something to just mess up the juju of the third period. And, this team's on their way. That's just what it seems like. It's just hard to just be like, yeah, we just need a better third period. Guys, that's literally all it is. We can look at stats. We can look at analytics. I would love to have a game-by-game analytics of how we play in each period. And I guarantee you second period is much higher, and then third period just drops way down. It's just finish, finish, finish.
Yeah, for sure. And especially going to Lake Superior State, I was talking to Brandon McCallan, who we had on the show the other day, and Connor Fedork, who are in our 389 or whatever, talking to them a little bit during our group project about, going up to Lake State this weekend. Not the best place to play, especially since it's a little bit dim lit. And I mean, it's a good team, but when you look at their facility, I mean, it's a cool looking place, but it's not always the brightest there to play, especially when they do like that little like spotlight thing whenever one of their players scores. So it's gonna be good for them. It's gonna be a short bus ride, which is good. It's only gonna be like 4 or 5 hours right across the bridge in the Sioux. So that's gonna be a good thing for them. Not gonna have to spend so much time in the bus. And that's a good thing too on travel days, when you realize it's not going to be like a Bemidji where it's going to be a 14-hour bus ride, or a Mankato where it's going to be like 11 hours or something like that, or even going up to Michigan Tech in northern Michigan where it's going to be 6, 7, 8 hours where you got to be sitting on the bus and trying to pass that time. So like you said, Ryan, the third period, me and Brandon have been talking about it. I mean, so many people that we have on. I mean, Travis has been talking about it. Everybody that we have always says about it. And my big thing about it is like when we dump and chase a lot, like when you look at that part of the game that is very heavily implemented in our like game plan and stuff like that. What you doing over there, Brandon?
Well, I was fixing my headset.
I was gonna say you're getting a little bit of
just a little itch,
fuzzy hair, getting a little bit of itch. But anyways, as I was saying with the dump and chase and stuff like that, like the first 2 periods, like you're rested, and that 20 minutes in between the second and third is enough to get you going. But once you get like 5 minutes, 10 minutes in, you still have already played 40 minutes of hockey. So when you have to go dump and chase, you get a little bit slow. You might have the defenders kind of pushing up a little bit, or you might have the offensive players kind of not back skating as fast as they can, and then that leaves on those opportunities for those 3-on-2s. It leaves those opportunities for St. Thomas to get set up and score with 5 seconds left and all that stuff. So I think the big thing is making sure that we have enough energy to fully compete in the third period is the big one. And dumping and chasing is not going to be able to get us that.
Maybe that's the thing that we need to change. Maybe just a strat change. Obviously, we're not coaches, but I mean, we can recognize the fact that something needs to change in the third period. And I know you said it, Ryan. The coaches know that.
Yeah, the coaches know.
Yeah, so something just has to change. But I mean, hey, if there's any team that we can really change that mojo with, I mean, it's Lake State. I mean, the first game we definitely came out really flat and didn't have our best game. But I mean, the second game, they were ahead early and we put our foot down. And especially getting that second game win was huge for us. So, we can beat this team. We know we can beat this team. So that'll be, if we could get 6. If we could get 6 out of this weekend, that would be a huge confidence booster, especially going against a Tech team coming up next week that we're going to need everybody on deck for to help try to root our Dogs to victory, because that's going to be a big game. But, it's going to be fun. Looking forward to that. All the live stats and more will be at ferrisstatebulldogs.com. But anyway, finaling out the Ferris State Sports Report with tennis and track. We'll finish out with track first. Snowdown Showdown. That was the meet that took place. I love that name. I don't know when this meet started, but boy, I would love to find out when that name was established. But really good efforts from the women's side. 4 top 7 efforts in the events, and I believe D1 teams were actually there as well. So very, very high contested competition. Emma Stefan, 3rd overall in the weight throw. Claudia Wilkinson, 3rd in the high jump at 5:05. Brianna Copley, 7th in the shot put. Our 4x4 team ended up placing 6th. Michaela Roberts, Hannah Brock, Cindy Kubiak, and Danae Felshposh with a 4:25, which I believe that is a season record for that team. But great results for them. You can check out more of those online as well. Both teams will be in action this weekend. We'll be going to GV for Big Meet, and just like the name says, pretty big meet, so we're looking forward to it. But finally, on the other side, tennis was in action against Aquinas. Just a casual bring out the brooms, a nice 7-zip sweep to get back on track. Good to see from both sides. Just being able to get I believe the word they used in the recap was decisive. Just being able to really shake off the Western Michigan exhibition and being able to put the pound in on Aquinas was something that, this team really needed. They just needed to come out and have a great game, both physically and mentally, as Coach Doran said in the post game. And they definitely brought that out.
Yeah, for sure. That was a really good thing, especially when you have like these pregame or preseason games. You got Western Michigan, who's that D1 talent that we lost 6-1 to, but able to have a bounce back game against it's a lower school, especially with Aquinas being I think D3. You're expected to win. That's good, 7-0. But you got Finley coming up, especially this weekend, and then Tiffin as well, who have kind of been some teams who we've not really struggled with, but there are teams who are going to be really good tests earlier on this season, just so that way we can get ready before GLIAC play starts. And I think we can do a really good job of finishing. We got a couple more weeks. We got about a month left of preseason play and out of conference play until we start up against Grand Valley for the first one. But with Finley coming up, it's going to be a good test to keep it rolling and, knock some more of the dust off, knock some more of the rust off and get it going, especially with these 2 games going to be away. So it's going to be a good test.
Yeah, quality regional opponents.
It's always a good confidence booster, to get a sweep 7-0. I mean, going forward, it always, even against the better, you said that this team, not as good as Ferris, but, going up against the better teams going forward, it's always note that you can sweep teams and you
can go in there, do some business.
Oh, yeah. Just the mental aspect of, like, hey, we took care of business. Like, it doesn't matter. It's like, we won 7-0 to Aquinas. And then you start comparing opponent, and then you're like, oh, well, this is a different opponent. We can't sweep them or whatever. But it's like, we can take care of business. When you just simply take of it of that, the business was 7-0 against Aquinas. It might be Grand Valley 4-3. That's what it might be, but you can still take care of business, right? That's still a W in the column, regardless what the score was. So it's good to see that confidence boost, and we're going to need those, especially looking back for a second ring in a row. Ring chasing, that's what this program has been made for, and that's certainly what they'll be made to do this year. So that's Ferris State Sports Report. When we come back, we'll talk some Chell and some teams to watch for the second half. Stay tuned.
Are you looking for a place to make an impact? Eagle Village could be the place for you. With over 53 years of experience making a difference in the lives of youth, there are many opportunities to serve today. Make sure you visit eaglevillage.org to find out where your journey may begin. Eagle Village, where potential soars.
And we're going to be coming right back at it now, hopping into the NHL All-Star Weekend and a little bit of an NHL preview for the upcoming second half of the season. Boys, the Vegas All-Star Weekend, probably one of the craziest ones I've ever seen. Some great new events, with the 21, the blackjack, and that crazy little passing thing on the fountain. But some great stuff this weekend. Ryan, I know you got a lot to talk about as being a hockey guy.
Oh yeah.
We'll start with you. What was your favorite part of the weekend?
Well, my favorite part of the weekend is probably the classic things that they did, like the hardest shot, the skating competition, and the accuracy contest, and probably the breakaway. But in my opinion, the 21 shooting and the fountain face-off, it was different. I'll say that. I don't know if some people out there might like it. Some people out there might not like it. Me personally, I wasn't a huge fan. I watched it live, and the highlights on the internet make it look pretty good and pretty special. But when I was watching it live, it didn't seem like it was that hype. It took a while for the 21, 22 shooting card thing to even go by, and the fountain face off was kind of hard to watch. It was pretty dark out there. In my opinion, I would skip those for the next.
Yeah, kind of take those out would probably be the best option for the next one. They're probably not going to have it in Vegas, so they really won't probably do anything. But I can definitely tell that they're probably going to try to do some sort of theme kind of challenge for whatever the city they have it in. But when you look at the All-Star game and the All-Star weekend for a lot of different sports, like Pro Bowl that happened over the weekend too, it seems like the skills competitions and stuff like that, and the events that they had before the actual game, people don't really take it as seriously. I loved it, especially with the NHL All-Star game. Seeing the shootout was my favorite. The skills competition is one of my favorites. But guys just aren't trying as hard. They're more just trying to put on a show a little bit. The game was actually fun to watch, especially with kind of seeing they're not going 100%. It's more like an 80 type thing because you definitely want to try out some new things. But you're just having fun. You don't want to go too hard. It's the All-Star game and it's in the middle of the season, so you don't want to go too crazy. But like I said, especially with that going on, I don't know, going back to the 21 card shootout and stuff. It's way too busy. There's just so much stuff going on that you can't really understand it, and not everybody knows how to play that game in general. So for those people that are watching, it's they're just hitting cards and stuff, and we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, so, I definitely, as somebody that is farther away than you guys at NHL, just getting the outsider perspective, there were some things that I thought were pretty cool. The fountain face-off, especially that you brought up, Ryan, I thought was whoa, what is going on? It was a unique idea. Picturesque is definitely the appropriate word for that, but you were just man, this is kind of kind of weird, you know. It's like you're out on the water, and it's kind of just kind of like a passing accuracy type of thing, but it's not necessarily off the ice. It's like you're going from one island to the other, basically. So it was kind of a unique idea. I wonder if they're gonna keep that. I think it's gonna be an only Vegas thing because, I mean, who else has a fountain, you know? But I mean, I definitely enjoyed like just watching some of the bits of the NHL All-Star game. I mean, there was some things that were pretty sweet as far as just the game itself. I mean, obviously just seeing everybody out there is what everybody pays for, especially to go there in person. But I mean the skills competitions I think are sweet. I mean, for the NHL having so many of them, I mean, that's a whole other thing. But just the fact you see all these unique events and all the players showing their unique skill sets, because, I mean, you got a lot of guys that are great players, and then they show how even better of a player they are just based off of what they did. I mean, like Sebastian Aho, the accuracy was phenomenal. I mean, just the fastest skater. Those guys can fly, and you don't really realize that just watching the flow of the game, right? Because it's like, oh yeah, they got to skate, right, to play hockey. It's like, right, well, I can prove that otherwise because I can't skate, but I might be able to play hockey. But the fact is, like, you're just seeing you're getting to cherish like all these unique things about these athletes that you don't necessarily see in the game. Like, I mean, we knew Victor Hedman could shoot the puck pretty hard, but did we know it was 103 miles per hour? I mean, in a game, you probably wouldn't think that, but now you're like, oh, he's gonna rip that thing. Mm-hmm. So just seeing those things I thought was cool. And I mean, we can get into the NFL Pro Bowl later, but I mean, I think overall, I think NHL might have had the better weekend, honestly.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And especially like when you look at the games and stuff, I think it's a cool thing. Especially last year's All-Star game when like you had like guys like Kucherov breaking out new moves, like the no move that kind of just like started that crazy thing. That was pretty cool. And, you know, seeing a lot of these guys who are able to do some crazy stuff with the puck that I will never be able to do, but seeing them just pull it off so effortlessly is such a cool thing to see. And, you know, that's why they're All-Stars. That's why it's All-Star weekend. And I mean, we can get kind of now into a little bit of the speculation for the second half of the season for a lot of these teams. I know, you know, we're all Red Wings fans except for you.
Well,
you Bruins, you dirty Bruins fan.
No, it's half.
Go back to
it's
Boston.
Half and half.
Go back to Boston. You can't be half and half.
Yeah, you can.
With Boston and Red Wings.
Get
That's
your
not
clam
a chance.
chowder.
I love the Red
yellow
Wings.
and black.
Dude, you can't do that. You can't be fans of two original six teams. You can't do that.
Well, you can yell at my younger self because, I mean, maybe now I might not have
I grew out of
chose
that
them.
phase. I was a Bruins fan when I was younger, and I grew out of that phase because I realized it's dirty. It's not good.
Well, only a select few players are a little dirty now. But, you know, Marchand.
A few of them on the Bruins.
You Marchand, jersey
Okay,
having little boy.
The thing is that Marchand, occasionally, even like in this season, he did do one slew foot, and you know you can't have that. But like each person that likes watching hockey in the NHL, you have to realize how good of a player Brad Marchand is.
Yeah, that's the thing that makes me hate him the most. Is because he's good at hockey.
He's really good.
Dude, when he's standing next to people, he stomps on their sticks. He, pushes people when they're down. It's a whole bunch of dirty plays that he always does. He's a rat. He's a rat, I say.
Yeah, well, hopefully, in the next couple of seasons, I mean, he might even start falling off because you know him and Bergeron are getting pretty old and stuff.
Pretty
but like,
there.
You know, they might start falling off. I mean, take the Red Wings for example. I mean, if Boston falls off, they're right up there, ready to take that wild card spot, so they could actually make the playoffs. I mean. Take last season, not too good,
Garbage.
But this season, I mean, it's really surprising.
Look at the bounce back, though. I mean, we got, 17 wins or so last season, and now we're at 20 and 21, which, I mean, 500 for a lot of these teams is like, oh, that's not really great to see. But, I mean, for us especially, we've been rebuilding for so long, ever since, Larkin got drafted, which was the year after. I think we missed the playoffs for the first time in so many years or whatever. Like, when you look at that, like, we've been starved for, like, it seems like a long time because we had 25 years of playoff runs and 25 years of good teams or whatever, but we missed it for so long. And like, when you go in and look and, you see tickets for Little Caesars Arena for a Red Wings game, $20 for like a pretty good seat, like just because we're so bad, we need to fill the seats. It sucks to see such a historic program and such an historic organization go for so long that, 6 years without without even having a sniff to make the playoffs to now being able to get a lot of the guys into, get a chance at the wild card spot. But Yzerman's plan is coming to fruition. Raymond, Sider, two guys in the rookie of the year conversation. I mean, they got Trevor Zegras to go against, which is going to be a tough one for them to overcome. But it's really looking solid. I mean, Dylan Larkin too has been playing pretty solid as well. He's leading the points for them. In my opinion, he's kind of lower in past his prime a little bit. You could make the argument. I mean, even if he isn't, he's maybe got 2 or 3 years left of like super high proficient scoring and super high proficient abilities. I mean, T-Bert as well is a guy who I've been looking at who's been doing really solid. He's the guy that's just, a dog. He's the guy who'll get in the trenches. He'll block shots. He'll score goals. He'll do it all.
Yeah. I mean, you look at what Larkin's been able to do, and I mean, yeah, I would agree that he's probably getting towards that. You could say he could have a fall off maybe. I mean, hey, he's not going to drop off a cliff. Okay, Max Kellerman about Tom Brady. But, I mean, he's going to still have some good proficiency. I mean, how many great years did we see out of Zetterberg? How many great years did we see out of Lidstrom? Even though those guys were getting older, they're still playing at a high level. So, I mean, you gotta have a great idea of where this team's going. And there's a lot of good motivation, good faith for this team because, I mean, especially for the city by itself, looking at all the teams around too, like all of us are growing together. So just the idea of all of us being proficient and good together. I mean, especially with this Wings team that you're right, has a historical prominence and needs to be up there. It's part of the original six. We need them in the playoffs because it makes hockey just that much more exciting. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting. We got a little bit of a climb to go to catch up to the Boston Bruins, but we might get there.
Yeah, that's the one thing is like, you build this brand new stadium in LCA. You got like fans who are diehard fans who will just bleed for the city basically, and to see that at least the Red Wings are coming back a little bit. I mean, we've been starved as a sports town for a super long time, but at least see the Red Wings are coming back a little bit. That's a great thing to see, especially for the whole state of Michigan.
Yeah, Zegras could go play dodgeball like he did in the shootout. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, exactly.
He's still a good player though.
Yeah.
I mean, with the Red Wings in the playoff conversation, who do you have winning the Stanley Cup this year?
I mean, not the Red Wings.
I mean,
I don't know. Yeah. Panthers are kind of killing it right now. Lightning,
I'll tell you
obviously.
one team that's not. Montreal.
Oh,
no.
Talk about the opposite of a bounce back.
Yeah, how about them? Awful. How about just a terrible? Like, they are 8-29 right now. That's ridiculous.
They were
Playoff
what last
finals.
year? 2 seed?
2 seed or something like that.
No, they were fourth. I thought they were fourth.
Fourth.
Made the Stanley Cup in the COVID year or whatever.
Yep. And then
now there's garbage.
But I mean, like, you can kind of like, I knew that the Canadians were going to win that year because I mean, you're playing Florida, who has no restrictions, and so when you look at a Game 7 or a Game 5, Game 6 or whatever, those big games that you need to go win, and you're playing away in front of 15, 16, 17,000 people, however much Tampa Bay can hold in their stadium, compared to you got 500 frontline workers and you're placing, fake noise getting pumped in. Like, when it comes down to the third period and you're tied, or and it comes down to when you need a big momentum shift, like, you're playing for your guys. That's it. Like, you're not really playing for the city. Like, you got people who are, like in the streets and stuff, but it's a whole different ball game when you got people in the crowd getting electric, getting the whole atmosphere just that much better. So I knew that they were going to win. So they're having a trash year. Hate to see it for them. I mean, 8-29. They had 23 points. I mean, Red Wings were in that point a while ago. I mean, we ended the season with like 20 points. So I mean, I can't really say much, but hey, when we're not there, I can make as much fun of them as we want. So 21. We got 46 points. I mean, a lot of you guys know I'm a big Islanders guy. We're not doing too hot. I mean, we made the conference final last year, and then now we've, got 38 points, which, I mean, isn't terrible. But, when you trade away some guys and you lose a couple guys to expansion drafts and stuff like that, you hate to see it. Our trades really haven't been working out as much as we want to. Barzal's been kind of falling apart with the goal scoring ability. He's able to, like, really do something for assists and kind of open up the ice a little bit, but when it comes down to it, he's been making some pretty bad decisions for shooting. I mean, Brock Nelson has been picking it up a little bit, but Villiers has been playing pretty well. Josh Bailey obviously is one of our veteran guys. He's kind of leading the team. Anders Lee is back. He's been kind of picking it up a little bit slow, but my guy Anders Lee will be able to pick it up later on in the season. I don't know if we'll be able to make the playoffs. It's going to be a really hard push. We'll need some from like 2 years ago or a year ago where we had those 13, 14 game win streaks and those like 17 or 18 game point streaks. So when that comes down to it, that's what we're going to need to do. But, Islanders got a little bit of a road ahead of them. I mean, 16 and 17 right now. They haven't played as many games as other teams as well. So, got to pick it up a little bit.
Yeah, I love to see that all these random kind of teams like the Ducks.
They're trying to pick it up.
Yeah, and the Panthers. I mean, like
Rangers are all of a sudden coming in out of nowhere.
Yeah, look 2 years ago, those guys are in the bottom of the league, and now they're like the Panthers, literally the top of the league right now in points.
I mean, Smashville too is starting to pick it up a little bit too.
I mean, they were good in 2016, and then they fall off after kind of probably in the Subban trade, and then now they're coming back, and it's cool to see all these random teams because like when I was watching hockey, I always see the same teams in the playoffs, but now I'll probably see the Ducks and I'll see the Panthers, and if they get a win, I mean, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it'll be pretty sick. Kind of how this all shaking up, it's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many teams that, like, going into the All-Star break where we're really picking it up. I mean, Minnesota definitely was one of them. They've won 6 straight. Toronto has always been up there. They've won 6 straight as well. But, I mean, you definitely can't count out the staple teams. I mean, as much as we admit, I mean, Boston would be a team to watch, definitely going down. But, I mean, there's been some other good teams. Like, I mean, the Carolina Hurricanes, man, they're not only good, but they're young, they're developed, and they're still getting better.
They're smoking, dude.
Yeah, like, they're a team that you have to be like, oh my gosh, yeah. When we play them, we got to play our best hockey that night, and that's just what they've been able to become. And I mean, wasn't necessarily a staple hockey team for so many years, and now look where they are. Just shows you how faster it seems like development and rebuilds for teams has come. I mean, across sports altogether. I mean, we're going to be talking about Thursday about the Cincinnati Bengals in the Super Bowl. Say that 3 years ago, people would have been like, ha, what you smoking, man? That's no way that happening. So, but it's just crazy to see. But, I mean, you could always mention the Penguins, the Bruins. I mean, you guys mentioned the Rangers already. I mean, hey, the Knights, maybe run it back. But, I mean, I think they got to get through the Kings first. I think that would be the more favorite. And then the Ducks especially. I would take those 2 teams over Vegas right now. But, hey, you never know, though. There's a lot of season to come, and there's still teams that haven't hit their stride yet.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's going to be really cool to see, especially when teams get back to playing and stuff like that. It's going to be really cool for the second half of the season. Especially as Red Wings fans, we're going to be looking forward to it. You Boston fan are probably going to be looking forward to it too. Disgusting. I mean, hopefully my Islanders can pick it up a little bit. But, teams to watch for, Panthers hopefully to keeping it hot. Lightning want to keep it hot as well. I mean, obviously we said Hurricanes is 2. And, I mean, Avalanche have been on a absolute tear right now, 32-8. They've been killing it. I mean, Smashville as well, as like we said. And then Pacific Division is pretty close. I mean, Golden Knights, Kings, and Ducks are all within, 2 points of each other. Flames, too. I mean, that's only a span of 5 points. So a few games here and there for each 4 of those teams can really shake up that division, too. But, hockey fans, that's what it's all about.
It'd be sweet if like the Oilers would actually get a little bit of help around McDavid. Because, I mean, they've been a good team, but they're never going to get over the hump unless they get him some help. Because, I mean, they're sitting, 5th right now in the Pacific? I mean,
it's only Draisaitl and McDavid.
Yeah, that's really all they have. So, I mean, if they really want to make that next step and over jump teams like Calgary, teams like Anaheim, teams like LA, and then Vegas, obviously, they're going to need to give them some help. So, I mean, they should definitely be a team that you could watch at the deadline because I don't think they just want to go through mediocrity with such a star talent.
McDavid has taken up so much of their cap space, isn't he? Like, he's taken up like almost half of it.
Yeah, he gets paid a lot.
Yeah.
He's like the highest. Well, he is the highest paid hockey player. But, like, I mean, so you kind of shot yourself in the foot with that. But then also, when you got guys who are begging for, or not begging, but, demanding that much money, then what are you going to do about it?
What are you going to do about it? But
I think something everyone's looking forward to in the playoffs. Toronto out first round.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes.
That's what we need.
Yeah.
I mean, they do it every year.
They do it all the time. Every time they make it, it's almost a given. Take the team that they're matched up against when you're betting. Like we always say, don't bet on my picks, but when you bet on my picks, you'll win. So hopefully, Toronto will be out of their first round. We'll see what happens.
Death, taxes, and Leafs out in 1. Is that what they say?
Yeah.
Is that crocheted on a pillow somewhere? If so, it needs to be. It should be as well. But, I mean, yeah, there's going to be a lot. But, I mean, really looking back at what, like, the All-Star Week is, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but, like, I really like the way that, like, the NHL set it up. And it kind of makes it feel like the Pro Bowl is kind of dying. And I think that's just because, like, you look at how, like, the NHL's always developing, which, I mean, the NFL has done, don't get me wrong, but like, I mean, the fact of it is, like, the All-Star break's so much more look forward to when it's in the middle of the season, whereas now, like, we're looking at the NFL, it's like Like, there's people talking around about how awful the Pro Bowl is this weekend. I'm not going to defend and say, like, yeah, I'm watching
garbage.
60 to 50% football. That was not fun. But, I mean, I get the player side of it. It's like these guys have been hitting literally for 18 weeks, and they're just like, man, I need to go get surgery. I need time off. My team's gotten pummeled in the playoffs. Like it's cool to get together and have like all those stuff, but it's like the game itself is not what like people are going to be looking forward to the Pro Bowl. The skills showdowns were awesome, like the dodgeball, the fastest man, all those sort of things are pretty cool. But
I'd rather watch those
itself,
in the actual game.
Yeah, like the Pro Bowl itself is going like, is this going to be a position where the game's just going to be abolished? It's going to be gone. It's just skill competitions.
I mean, you got to do it where like you either have to be like, all right, hitting, or you could even just be like, have a meeting and be like, yo, like hitting is allowed, but just don't go like too crazy. Like don't go for like hit sticks or anything like that. Like
no Sean Taylor to the punter and back in whatever year it was.
Yeah, nothing
14.
crazy like that. Because I mean, fans, they want to see like actual football being played. They don't want to see two-hand touch. They don't want to spend that much money to see two-hand touch, especially if you pay for it live. But I will say this: as much as I didn't like the Pro Bowl, and as much as I was a bore to watch it for the 10 minutes I watched it, at least we got the McGriddle, the Mac Jones gritty.
Yeah.
That was the coolest thing I ever seen on the weekend. Mac Jones got snubbed out of the MVP. The McGritty should have won it for him. But
just the dance by itself. But yeah, I mean, especially when you look at like a lot of the legends, like Randy Moss spoke out about it. Deion Sanders was very vocal about it. Like, it used to be an honor to be in the Pro Bowl, and now it just kind of seems like, yeah, if you're the best, you're going to be there, and you're just going to enjoy a nice weekend off and just
it's like
have a good time.
Which is more of like a chore for them rather than
which is fine, but that's not the way it used to be. And it's not going to be perceived that way based off what we've seen in the past. Because we saw some awesome like all-star games, or Pro Bowls, I should say. But, I mean, the fact is, like, I mean, I'll be honest, I watched a little bit of each. I watched part of the All-Star game for hockey, and I watched some of the Pro Bowls. Like, yeah, I knew which one I was watching. It was definitely going to be the ice. It was 100%. It's just hard to see because those guys are going to, I want to say giving the honest effort. But, I mean, the Pro Bowl there needs to be something to happen of, is it going to get moved to the middle of the season? I think it won't be, but I think you have to look at something like that if you want to actually make good viewership from this game, because not a lot of people are going to be watching it anymore. Just the fact of what we saw this weekend.
Well, like, sorry to not let you talk, Rand, but I just got to put this point out real quick. It's like, when you look at like All-Star weekends and Pro Bowls, it's like Pro Bowl, you really aren't playing for anything. Like when you look at, because especially with like, the Pro Bowl and like football in general, like Super Bowls are already pointed out where it's going to be, like every time, like before the season even starts. But with like how the NHL used to be and how the MLB is now, like they're playing for home field advantage in the World Series, or NHL used to play for the home ice advantage for the Stanley Cup. So when it's comparatively for like those teams or those players who get there and their team has like a really good chance of making the playoffs, it's like, I want to play 4 games in front of my home fans. Like I'm going to play as hard as I can here.
Yes.
And so that's the big thing about like All-Star weekend and stuff that makes the big difference is like when there's an incentive rather than money, like for these Pro Bowl players who get, $100,000 bonus, $500,000 bonus, however much they get for making that Pro Bowl, like when there's an incentive for you to be able to, play your hardest, I think that's the best thing. And it can't be money, because money will, they'll play to get to the Pro Bowl. They already have money.
They have money.
It's about the pride and it's about the fans. And I think that's the big thing, is changing it so that the Pro Bowl, I want to be appalled to it being in the middle of the season, but I know there's going to be people saying like, well, they'll get injured and stuff like that. It's the same thing for everything. It's the same thing for All-Star weekend. A freak injury can happen even if it's week 1, week 2. It could be the week before the Super Bowl, and you could, have somebody break their leg or snap something or whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm going to knock on wood real quick. Hopefully that doesn't
that was a pretty gory description.
But like, that's what I'm saying, is like a freak accident could happen either way, and just because it happens in the Pro Bowl or an All-Star weekend doesn't mean that it wasn't bound to happen anyways.
Yeah. What do you think, Ryan?
I would definitely say, like you guys said, the 2 things that need to change is that it needs to be more in the middle of the season, and they need to make it physical. Because, like, I mean, the teams practice and they hit each other but they don't go as hard as like, oh, I'm going to take out the quarterback and break his leg.
Oh,
just be like, hey, practice squad rules. Like where you're, trying to make it game speed like, but don't just go crazy and rail these quarterbacks or anything like that.
Yeah. I think, when you think about like the way that it's set up in the middle of the season, like there's kind of a nice little like incentive of, yeah, I'm gonna get to the All-Star game, and then I'm gonna have a nice comforting week off, and then we're gonna reset, and then we're gonna get back for a good second half. Like where in football, it's like you have the bye week, but for some teams, that's week 4, and then you're playing literally 13 straight weeks, and then it's like you're not getting a break from that. So it's just really hard to digest when it's not in the beginning of this, or not in the middle of the season, rather, where you have those bye weeks in the beginning of the season or near the end of the season. And I mean, by the time I'm like, I feel for some of these guys. I mean, they're banged up and they're just like, man, I'll get through the Pro Bowl, but I'm not going to risk what my knee's already like torn up into shreds. I don't want to even make it anywhere near worse, especially since I'm going to have surgery. So, I mean, it's just hard for them to be able to do that. And it's just a shame that people don't watch it because, I mean, the Pro Bowl used to be such an established thing. It used to be so cool. And now it's just kind of going more to the dump.
Yeah. And, having it so close to the Super Bowl, I mean, no one's like, oh, the Pro Bowl. Yeah, I'm so excited. It's more like, oh,
it's a filler.
It's more like,
it's a filler for that week off.
It's more like the season's over. I want to watch the Super Bowl. When's the Super Bowl? Oh, it's this week. I'm so hyped for the Super Bowl. And then the Pro Bowl comes on. You're like, oh, okay, the Pro Bowl. Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, that means I'm 1 week from the Super Bowl.
What they should do is move the Pro Bowl to like middle of the season ish. Have it so that way all the teams and stuff can have like a nice break. Especially if you're an all-star, it's not like you're gonna have to like go too crazy or whatever.
No.
You're just gonna be They should change it so that way you're fighting for home field advantage. And then make it so that way that bye week or this week that we have here, that's like the off week for the Super Bowl, have that be the College Senior Bowl. So that way a lot of these people who are want football to happen, and a lot of these people who are wanting to see some good football being played, have these guys who are might be under the radar for some of these NFL scouts or something like that to be able to show out and have a good game, because I know that those guys are going to try hard and it's going to be a great showing of football. So that's what I say.
Yeah, or the Twitter fan favorite, have the Jaguars and the Lions fight for the number 1 pick. That's what the Pro Bowl is.
Have the kids versus mascots one.
Oh, yes. That's kind of
fun. Funny.
That would be pretty funny.
Or a mascot, flag football game. That would be cool.
Yes. All-Star Weekend should be fun. They shouldn't be boring. That is the premise of this entire discussion. But thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate your view. Don't forget to subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're on, whether you're a Spotify guy like Joe, whether you're an Apple guy like myself, or whatever podcast platform you are on. But Ryan, thanks for joining us.
You are very welcome. I had a blast.
I'm glad you did. Until next time, guys.
Take care, everybody.